So today is the 5-year anniversary. Today's the 5-year anniversary of when Mayor Margot Anderson was indicted, August 19. A lot of things happen, it turns out, on August 19. In 2020, Mayor Anderson was indicted on 64 counts of public corruption. On August 19 of 2022, Sheriff Tommy Ford surrounded our home, raided our home, and searched our backyard and, in retaliation for my journalism. And so we've got a big lawsuit, a federal lawsuit that we filed August 6th, 18 counts against 10 defendants. And the reason, really, the big part of the lawsuit is intimidation and retaliation against First Amendment protected activities under the color of law. And by Sheriff Ford. And I believe that the intimidation continues, but it's sort of like what happens in the federal government. You know, the federal government is not permitted by the supreme law of the land to censor your speech, so they would, contract it out, kind of. X would deplatform you, and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And what I see happening, what I believe is happening now, is Sheriff Ford and his financiers, most specifically Cramer Chevrolet, is doing that again. And you say, Bernie, you're overreacting. This is going to be, I do not want to do this show. It's going to be a long one, and I'm going to show you so many things. I'm going to tell you things I've never told you before. I'm going to show you a video of what I believe was an attempt on my life in December of 2021 that missed by about an inch. You're going to see it. I'm going to tell you about the level of surveillance on me. And I'm going to make the case that Sheriff Ford and his financiers are doing it again. And I did not want to talk about the damn 850 podcast. I did not want to talk about Ron Keel. We talked on the phone about 3 months ago, and right after the election, and I'd seen some of the things that he was saying, and it's nothing at all like he acts when we talked in person or on the phone. Remember, he bought advertising for me and all that stuff. That's how I met him. And so he calls, or he asked to call, we arrange a call. And he says, bro, I think I'm being lied to, bro. I want to learn from you, bro. And I said, Ron, this doesn't even sound like what I've been seeing, and so it was like a 15-minute phone call, sort of like what Tony and I did. Tony Bostic. I just said, look, man, just keep doing what you're doing. You might be the first person in Bay County that over time proves that I'm a liar or whatever. Just keep doing what you're doing, man, because time, everybody's classifying themselves in real time. Keep doing what you're doing. And so then I said, look, I just don't want to talk with you. I've got a lot of people I haven't even gotten back to. And if I see you around, just don't come up to me. All right. Let's just part ways. Keep doing what I wish you the best. Have I ever done anything to stab you in the back or no, bro, just want to learn from you, bro. It's just a game, bro. It's just a game. Just good natured fun. I'm just trying to steal the game, just trying to get an audience, bro. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of strange, but okay. But it's ramped up now to insanity and to veiled threats. And I'm going to share it all with you tonight. And I will tell you that most likely, not only will we be adding depositions based on what I believe is happening, but most likely I will start adding defendants to what is happening. The intimidation of the First Amendment, and in a federal lawsuit, in a 1983 federal lawsuit, you can absolutely include civilian defendants who are conspiring with those under the color of law to violate your rights. And so, I mean, this has escalated to the point where I'm going to show you why, and you can tell me what you think. I'm going to show you videos tonight. You're not going to believe what happens outside my office door. What I believe was an attempt on my life that missed by an inch. You're going to see the video. And you're going to see why I take these things very, very seriously. I'm going to show you some videos of the 850 podcast and Ron Keel's posturing or whatever he's doing, because you need to see it to understand what's going on. But it's nothing at all like I've ever seen. I've never seen him act like this in real life. Anyway, why don't we just start with one of them? This is the type of thing I'm talking about.
This is what I can say. Bernie, if you do ever, end up finding your nutsack somewhere and you decide that you're going to call me, you better, or you decide that you want to meet me somewhere, you need to bring a witness. You do. Because there needs to be people that need to be around.
Hey, I'll be a witness.
What the hell? So the first time I ever heard of anything like this, somebody said, Bernie, what's all this stuff? I don't know what you're talking about. So I go and I take a look at the 850 podcast, and I see a cartoon of them shooting me and the Beacon with an M16. So I call Ron Keel and I say, hey, are you going to shoot me, man? What are you doing? I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I haven't seen it. And then my producer must have made it, bro. You're needed. You're important. Okay. Because I'd called you to tell you this is like 6 months ago, something like that, 4 months ago maybe. And he texted me back. We took it down. To just in case anybody got the wrong idea. And I said, okay, well, this is what I'm talking about. And it just continues on. And so people have been sending me screenshots of his latest posts, and it's all about kill the narrative. Bernie survived another weekend. Bernie's a corpse. Flatline. Bernie's flatlined. These are all veiled death threats, especially when you endure what I endure. Now, I'll just tell you, I really don't think that Ron Keel is a threat to my life necessarily. But just because he's 5'3", and just because whatever, doesn't mean that he's not dangerous. I'm older than his father. Okay. And he's got I'm going to show you why I'm concerned. But I will also tell you this right off the bat. It is not out of the question that I could be eliminated. It's not out of the question. In fact, it's possible that I could be killed. I have these kinds of concerns. I'm going to tell you about the way I've notified the FBI about it. I'm going to tell you about in the past and currently. It's the craziest show you're ever going to see, ever. And you're going to learn a lot about me and what happens behind the scenes and why I take these things very seriously tonight. I did not want to ever do a show like this, but I have to, Because if anything does happen to me, I believe that Ron Keel is being used by local powerful people and sponsored and paid to say crazy shit. And I believe if I am murdered, that he'll be the Jack Ruby. He's dumb enough to say all kinds of crazy stuff and veiled death threats. And then if something does happen to me, he gets wrapped up and the real people who did it skate. That's something I'm concerned about. I'll show you why. But first, let's take few more. Let's look at a few more of these. So these are the kinds of recent posts I'm talking about. So this is the 850 podcast stuff that people have been sending me. All right. So one episode at a time, Bay County's most dangerous podcast, because we actually tell the truth and there's a bomb, maybe a grenade or a bomb. I worry about bombs, actually. Misinformation meets suppression reels. Now, Ron acts like a combat veteran. And I thought he was a combat veteran. I actually thought he was a combat veteran when he bought advertising for me. And I would post, vote for a combat veteran. And after I posted that a few times, I went to take pictures of Ron at a cigar shop like this one. It's a great picture of him. So he could use it in his campaign when he ran a year ago for county commission. I don't have it here, but I even took a great picture of him with a cigar. Hell, I voted for him. I don't know if Miss Sarah Moon did. She's never really liked him, but I voted for the guy. I sent him that text message. I've got so many things here to show you, and so he sends me a text a while back, March 18. And he says, "Hey, bro, you can use stuff from my interview with Ed Young." And he says, "Aside from slamming you from time to time, it's all in good fun, bro. It's all in good fun." This is what he tells me on the phone. It's a game, bro. It's trying to get your audience. And it's not a game to me, man. Okay. It's not a game. It's not all in good fun. And you're going to see why. In a moment, you're going to see why. But he poses like a combat veteran. He has these little rap songs that says he's back from combat. But when I went to take these pictures, he says, "Hey, bro, I'm not a combat vet, bro." I said, "Oh, you were Army?" "Yeah, I was infantry, but I wasn't a combat vet." "Oh, jeez, I thought you were." And there's a reason that people think that. This is one of his latest reels where the rap song says "back from combat." Imagine being his wife. I mean, not the right one. We're
not PC, we're post-combat. We see the lies and we call them back. You can keep your clicks and political clowns. We're airborne truth coming straight for your town. No!
Back from combat.
We're not PC, we're post-combat. We see the lies and we call them back. You can keep your clicks and political clowns. We're airborne truth coming straight for your town. No!
And he talks about it. I mean, recently, when I talked to him on the phone 2 or 3 months ago, for quite a while, he says, what the hell was I going to say about that? Oh, I said, this whole thing is like the anti-Bernie show. He says, "Yeah, it is, kind of is, man. We got to give other people a voice, and so I'm just sort of countering you or just what you're not saying, I'm going to fill in the gaps." Okay, well, keep doing what you're doing. But this is what I'm talking about. This is, he was in the Army. He's an infantry guy. I think he got hurt and didn't stay in the Army or something. But he told me, "I'm not a combat vet." But listen to this.
Here's the deal. The reason why Bernie doesn't understand this concept is because Tony and me, we come from a different background of military service.
Yeah.
Right. So like the part of the military that we experienced, and I'm not going to speak for Bernie's, but I'm going to say based on his job description in the Air Force, not talking bad about his career, he probably did a good job, whatever he did, but it's not the same thing. He doesn't have the same mindset that someone like me has, or someone like Kendall has, or someone like Tony has.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So,
he was
like-
an officer, so he was segregated from the rest of us.
And then there's those jobs are still needed in the military. You have to have them. But for Tony to get on this rant about foxholes and having somebody's back, dude, is complete. It's not in the same world. Like, dude, and that's the reason why. And I don't hold that against anybody. When someone starts talking about me about military service, and I start listening to what they had to say, it's like, yeah, man, like you did something, you served your country, but don't you fucking dare try to act like me and you are in the same fucking. We're not in the same. We're not part of the same alumni, dog. Like it's just not
separated.
We're
Yeah.
very coming from two. Like I was in the military, like I was like when people watch movies and they see guys, running through a jungle, shooting machine guns and freaking taking a hill and stuff like that. That like as an infantry guy, that's your job.
Yeah.
So like when people think about the military, they think about that job. So to try to explain that to somebody who sat behind a desk, it's still a needed job. And I respect that job because you have to have those people. But quit trying to freaking act like they have an idea of what you're talking about. There are people that served throughout the entire war for 20 years, never saw a combat zone.
So, look, I'm an Air Force guy, and I've got a lot of combat friends. You know, most of us do. You know, and they don't like this bro type stuff. This grunt, whiskey and war stories, like guys who really lived it. They don't like that stuff, and to keep, cloaking yourself in the military doesn't make the military look good. Like, military is about discipline. That's why when you see me speaking at the meetings, I'm not calling the elected officials by the nicknames I give them on the show, right? I comport myself there the way you should. And that's quite frankly the way Ron should. Nobody should be cloaking themselves. Well, there's reasons people do it. Insecurity, I believe, is the reason why. But let me give you just a few more examples. So all of this is just unbelievable to me. I've never seen the guy act like this in real life or on the phone or anything else. And so at the last Lynn Haven meeting I went to, there was a bunch of folks there. I took a bunch of pictures and I left. It was going to take forever. I left. And it was super crowded. And like I say, whenever I go into these places, I feel like a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. I don't know who hates me, none of it. And recently, and I'm going to show you this tonight too. Recently, people have been trying to pick fights with me. Like, get in my face, like within an inch. There's an attempt, I believe, along with Sheriff Ford's humiliation operation where they arrest people. And then his campaign manager, Arthur Cullen, who owns the mugshot rag, puts people's faces on the mugshot rag, and then they're dismissed. The humiliation operation, I call it. Sheriff Ford's campaign manager, Arthur Cullen, owns the county press mugshot rag. So when the sheriff arrests somebody, his campaign manager humiliates them. And I believe that Sheriff Ford also has an intimidation operation, and this is part of that. See, this podcast is funded by Cramer Chevrolet. There's a lawsuit currently by a whistleblower canine deputy. And they recently deposed the sheriff and Chris Cramer about this kind of stuff. This is all happening in real time. So I left this meeting 3 weeks ago or so. And Ron claims that I saw him, that I looked him in the face and I got scared and left. And boy, if I didn't do that, it's lucky I put my head down and snuck out of there before he got a hold of me. Listen,
So
And this is also coming from the guy at the Lynn Haven meeting that
Yeah.
shows up taking pictures of Tony while he's talking and taking pictures of the whole meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Made eye contact with me while he was walking out of the room and put his head down with his stupid. I almost said with his fedora or whatever, right? Makes eye contact and looks down. So you're not a tough guy. And if you had something to say, you had opportunity to do it. That would have been a perfect place to do it, don't you think?
well,
You've
Tony was
seen me out
talking
in
about
public. You've seen me out in public, motherfucker.
Tony was
You
talking
want
about
to talk
people
about me
all-
acting like a tough guy? Well, why don't you stand behind your freaking words, weirdo? Be a tough guy. I dare you.
you're gonna see so much stuff tonight. Let me show you the way I interpret all of that. All right, there's a guy I like. He used to work. I don't know if it was CIA or what it was, but he's really, really good at human behavior, and I learn a lot from him. His name is Chase Hughes, and here's how he describes all of us. We all wear a mask. It's like our public persona, and then our private, like alone persona. And here, this helps me make sense of not just Ron, but a lot of people.
So we wear these personas and these masks to cover up something. So if you see somebody, 90%, 99% of us have a mask. And this is the population of Earth. How thin it is, how thick it is, that's what changes and what the mask is made of. So if I'm seeing somebody who's acting like he's posturing all the time, he's yelling, he's like just puffing his chest out, the mask is usually the opposite of what it's concealing. So I'm seeing a fearful little boy that's afraid of being hurt.
A chihuahua.
Yeah. I'm seeing a chihuahua that's barking. And if I bark enough, no one's going to hurt me. And that's what I'm really seeing there. That's what a mask is.
Mm.
I don't play that to mock Ron. I'm not. But it helps me understand things, not with everybody, with people, because we all are very vulnerable, and we do all want to be somebody. That's one of my. There's two things that I say a lot that I've learned over the last 15 years or so that I've developed. One of them is everybody wants to be somebody, right? That's why I have my name on my door of my office. I want to be somebody. I had a show. I want to be somebody. I want to be a reason why. I want to be somebody who matters. We all do. And I also, this is one that's deeper than it sounds at first. I always say people want to be heard even more than they want to be right. Right? People often quarrel because they don't know how to argue. And I don't mean argue in a combative, modern social media way. I mean, really disagree and argue like lawyers kind of argue. And so people want to be heard even more than they want to be right. Ron knows, I know, because he's told me a million times. Well, not a million times, but just recently on the phone. Bro, I think I'm being lied to. I really want to learn from you. Well, I don't think you're acting in faith, and I'm not interested in that. So I don't know if this is like how he really feels, or if he's just simple. I do certainly believe that the whole thing is a Chris Cramer Chevrolet, Will Cramer Chevrolet, Sheriff Ford intimidation thing. And and these posts are pretty serious. Let me show you a few more of these kind of posts that got my attention. And these are absolutely veiled death threats. So again, kill the narrative, suppression reels and then most dangerous podcast with a bomb. We're locked and loaded. Set to gunslinger, the most dangerous podcast, another bomb. Suppression reels, kill the narrative, right? Let's look at a few more. There's dead Bernie there. Weekend at Bernie's. Bernie made it through another weekend. Bernie made it through another weekend. I actually worry about making it through weekends, to be honest with you. So it's open season on misinformation. Support local leadership. I've been doing this long enough to recognize ops, counter ops. Support local leadership. So stay pressed, Bernie. Stay pressed. Maybe because I'm an officer that, I just think that means have your clothes ironed. Make sure you press everything. Let me show you a few more. Here's one that says, we all float. We all float. And there's a freshly filled grave. The writing's on the wall. It's already on the headstone. Bernie's slumped at his desk, dead. Behind the eyes again. He's already out of his damn skull. Bernie's a corpse. Bernie's flatlined. It's just dark humor, bro. That humor, bro. No, it's more than that. It's more than that. He says, I'll be damned if I'm going to just stand by while a couple of washed up egos, James Finch and Bernie Thompson, peddle lies, slander, and misinformation like it's gospel. And then it says, this, by the way, this right here sounds so much like Major Jimmy Stanford and Sheriff Tommy Ford, actually. This is about what we allow in our community. It's open season now. Open season, what we allow. So if you remember, Sheriff Tommy Ford was so upset with the recall of the mayor that he helped install. And I know all of this from being very, very close to the number 2 and number 3 for while this was happening, or thought I was. So that whole what we allow in our community, it just reminded me so much of Sheriff Ford's angry Facebook post. Do you remember this one? When he said, that's not who we are. That's not who we are. Right? He was very angry. What we allow in our community. So, I believe that, and I'm just getting started. I got so much to show you. I'm going to show you what I believe was an attempt on my life in December of 2021. I'll show you things I've never told you about tonight, and why I take these things very seriously, and why, again, I'll say again, if anything does happen to me and Ron Keel is arrested, I'll be screaming from my grave, I think he might be the Jack Ruby here. I think they set up the dunce here to look like he did it. So why do I say that? What am I talking about Chris Cramer Chevrolet or Will Cramer Chevrolet? Why are you talking about that, Bernie? Because the podcast has a bunch of Cramer Chevrolet ads on it. And Chris Cramer and Sheriff Tommy Ford were very recently deposed about canceling somebody's job. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This is one of the this is one of the ads. Let's see here. I've got so much stuff to show you that I hope I don't get lost in trying to find it. But oh boy, hold on. I'm looking at the things I'm going to show you tonight, and my eyes are just popping out. So here's one of the commercials that airs all the time on this show.
Hey, Will, I'm checking to see if you have everything ready for the celebration.
someone could be out.
Yeah. Cool. So thank you for coming on.
All right. So yeah, and this is what's being sponsored. This is what they're sponsoring.
I'm the same dude here that I'm going to be when I see you next time. Got me?
You got me. Yeah, there's so many things I want to show you, but I don't want to get too lost in it. So one of the well, I'll just run a few of these so that you can see them.
You want to talk about me? I'll talk about you. I'm the same dude here that I'm going to be when I see you next time. Got me? I can say. Bernie, if you do ever, end up finding your nutsack somewhere and you decide that you're going to call me, you decide that you want to meet me somewhere, you need to bring a witness. You do. Because there needs to be people that need to be around.
Hey, I'll be a witness.
So you're not a tough guy. And if you had something to say, you had opportunity to do it. That would have been a perfect place to do it, don't you think?
Well,
You've
Tony was
seen me
talking
out in
about
public. You've seen me out in public, motherfucker.
Tony was
You
talking
want to
about
talk about me
people-
acting like a tough guy? Well, why don't you stand behind your freaking words, weirdo? Be a tough guy. I dare you. No, Bernie, you don't. Like in this clip, in this phone call, he's like, oh, I get it. People attack me all the time. No, they don't. No, they don't, Bernie. Not like me.
Well, you and I had a conversation.
I'm really good at it.
Talk about the weirdest thing ever, man.
Hold on.
I mean, you don't sit with those guys and think they're a little off. I mean, I've done more.
Yeah, Bernie, I volunteered to jump out of a perfectly fucking good airplane with the cheapest material strapped to my fucking back. Yeah, there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with a lot of people like me. Yeah, you're not wrong. But the guy that you're talking to, like he knows that because he's a veteran, and like I know you are too, or something like that with your officer. Whatever.
Act like you never heard a grunt speak truth. Ron's on the mic, knocking out your front tooth. It's the 850, not red, not blue. We burn.
All right, and so one of the things that Ron keeps bringing up with this Chris Cramer Chevrolet funded podcast is that I talked terrible about Mayor Nelson's wife and family. All right, I'm going to show you what he said. I'm going to show you what I said. And then I'm going to show you how obsessed Ron Keel is with people's wives. All right, let's get to why. Yeah, I can't believe all the stuff I'm going to show you tonight. Oh my God. But again, this show is, if this weren't funded by, if this weren't a Sheriff Ford intimidation operation with Chris Cramer, I wouldn't have done this show. But, and I don't think the threats against my life is just, a crazy guy who's obsessed. And then when you add retardation, a triple whammy is not good. It's a joke. It's a joke. And one thing that Ron says is he can take a joke. And again, this show is not even an attack on Ron. I told him, keep doing what you're doing.
The thing is, it's like if somebody comes out and attacks me, I'm gonna make a reel about it. Like and then I'm done with it. Like, right? And so, and then people get more mad.
But there is, when you do what I do, and I don't call people fans, okay? It's just so pretentious, but sometimes people do get obsessed with you. And the person he was sitting with there recently on a show is Jessie Johnson. And she's a campaign manager, and you're going to see how good she is with politics. So if you ever, need a campaign manager, if you ever run for office, you can always, there's somebody you can use. You can call up and hire. But these two, I mean, they've, I don't want to, I will tell you, but I'm trying to stay a little focused. But it is like obsessed fans or something. Please don't take that wrong. It's just so dumb to even say, but I'm just telling you.
I had a conversation, just you and me over the phone, about Bernie. Like, I grew up loving Bernie. Grew up loving Bernie. I listen, Bernie. I wanted to be you when I grew up. No joke.
Yeah.
Okay. And
all right, so let me show you what one of the things that concerns me is this incitement that Bernie's a racist, this incitement that that I talk terrible about people's family and drag them through the mud on the show. If you watch the show, you know that that's not true. And I'm going to show you what he's reacting to and his reaction. You tell me if it seems like he's going a bit overboard. Okay. Here's what he said. So I had that phone call with Tony Bostic, and I said, they keep making shit. Oh, by the way, there's going to be F words, F bombs, and cussing on the show. So know that in advance if you've got kids around. And this was a private phone call, and Tony and I both agreed to release it. And I cuss up a storm very often when it's just you and me in the right context. And so I said, look, all this posturing by these guys, what are you doing, Tony? Like, you think he's gonna knock my teeth out? And so the 850 podcast, funded by Cramer Chevrolet and others, by the way, this is the reaction to, and you're going to see what I said about Jesse. And I mentioned you imagine how he treats his wife or anybody in a relationship with him. And based on that, these people act like they're inciting people by lying.
He's talked about his fucking family with some baldy. So like I have like zero respect.
Yeah, no, that's crossed on.
Zero respect for Bernie Thompson. Like, you have done everything in your power to dismantle Jesse. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I am not a Jesse Nelson fan, but I'll be damned if you're just going to sit there and flat out. And you want to wonder why this guy talks down to you from the dais whenever you come up and you talk.
I couldn't imagine we talking about his wife.
I'm amazed he hasn't brushed your freaking teeth with a brick.
Well, he's
No
married,
joke.
so-
Like, are you kidding me? You how much shit can you come up with?
This guy makes shit up in his head, and then he acts like a tough guy. You think Ron Keel's going to knock my teeth out?
That, but what I did say was,
Hey, Bernie,
that
first of all, I never said I was going to knock your teeth out. Because you need to take that hearing device that you have, right? And you need to turn it up. Never said that. What I said was I was surprised Jesse hadn't brushed your teeth with a brick. That's what I said. You put words in my mouth, though, you're going down a road, dude. I don't put words in your mouth. I don't do it.
So this is this show has Cramer Chevrolet
They're
commercials.
the airport authority. So the airport authority is the entity that is responsible for the oversight of the airport. We hire an executive director.
So that's not a commercial, but that's one of the owners. That's Will Cramer, and he's on a lot of boards. He's a big shot locally. He's on the airport authority board, where Mark Sheldon is now the chairman. But here's what I said that got Ron Keel telling everybody that I badmouth Jesse's wife. And I'm going to show you something tonight that's going to blow your mind too, about the whole public hangings. And I'm going to show you in just a moment. You're not going to believe this, but let me show you what I said, and you tell me if this warranted that kind of response. Remember that I've got JC Hall on the show, the great JC Hall, and we just watched Mayor Nelson back in May Was it March or May? Something like that. We just watched him, I think it was May, for 10 minutes, psychologically abuse Commissioner Jamie Warwick. Do you feel ostracized? Why do you feel ostracized? For 10 minutes. We watched that. It was nuts. Twisting words around, gaslighting, 10 minutes in a meeting. And I said, could you imagine being in a relationship with Jesse Nelson? He's an abuser, a psychological abuser. Imagine being his wife. And JC said, or maybe, maybe he's under his wife's foot or something and he takes it out on everybody else. That's the extent of it. You would think, I don't know, you'd think that I said a lot of terrible things, wouldn't you? Watch, this is it. Imagine being his wife. I mean, the control he has to have of.
He's obviously a psychological manipulator. I can't imagine. Either, like you said, at his house, it's either he's domineering at his house, or it could be the opposite, right? He could be like his wife could have him under the boot. And so this is his release because he's actually not his own man. He's an abuser.
That's what got all this stuff. That's what got all.
I'm the same dude here that I'm going to be when I see it next time. Got me?
Okay, so now let me tell you about this. So this is crazy what you're going to see now. So there was a after Vicky Gaynor had been fired, I think it was I was leaving one of those meetings. And Vicky Gaynor spoke, and she said something about threats and being hanged or lynching or something. And I was driving back, and I was talking to my friend, Eric Garman. And he said, oh, yeah, somebody made a post on your page about public hangings. And I said, what? So I came to the office, and I found this post. And I banned the person, and then I took that post and I featured it, and I said, if you do this, you're going to get banned. Do not do these kinds of posts. Gosh, if I didn't save it, it's not that big a deal. But yeah, so somebody made this post, right? I'm going to find it in a moment and show it to you because I do want you to see it. And so a month later, I'm sorry, a few days later, this is what they say on the show. You're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you. This is what they say on the show. This is so crazy. All right, here you go. Are you ready? So they're going to say, because somebody made a post and it simply said, make public hangings popular again. I'd never seen this person on my page before. I look up the account. It's some anonymous account. And it says, make public hangings popular again. So I thought, well, damn, if Vicky Gaynor feels that way about it, then that doesn't need to be up there. So I featured it. I said, don't talk. And I sent this text to somebody. Yeah, it's a text I sent to somebody. I said, Lynn Haven City Manager Vicky Gaynor is black. She's corrupt and we're holding her accountable. But she doesn't deserve this kind of shit. And I won't tolerate it on my page. I was telling somebody about what was on my page. And Ron knows this about me. But this is what they said on the page. And it's going to make sense to you when I tell you the rest of the story here in just a second. But watch again, you see how he overreacted about, I'm talking about his wife. I'm talking about him. He's a psychological abuser. Jesse Nelson is. And so he blows out into something that it's not, to incite hatred and violence toward me, to try to carry it, whatever. But here's what he said about the post that I took down What?
contributed and exacerbated the issue.
A lot.
Absolutely.
They
And so-
monetize racism by screenshotting that we should bring back public hangings, posting it all over their page.
Was that on their page?
That was on their page.
That's on their
and Bernie's
page.
That was on their page?
That was on their
So
page.
they took a racist deal and used it for clicks and likes and to have comments and all that stuff, which I think is completely
You're sure about
fucking
that?
ridiculous. 100% sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's still up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
What are you talking about? I'm down with freaking hanging people from the courthouse lawn.
Oh, I mean,
What? Why? What are you talking about? I'm down with freaking hanging people from the courthouse lawn.
oh, I mean,
What? Why?
How about that? So what I discovered was a month before some anonymous account posted on my page in a comment, make public hangings popular again, to which I took down, featured it, and said, don't post stuff like this. I'm going to ban you if you do. Don't do it. But a month before that post, the only person talking about public hangings was none other
What are
than
you talking about? I'm down with freaking hanging people from the courthouse lawn.
oh, I mean,
What? Why? How many?
Do you think that the fake account that posted that in the comment section a month after that clip, could that have been Ron Keel or his producer guys or his friends or Cramer Chevrolet folks or whoever else is involved in this intimidation operation against me and the Beacon, by the way? And by the way, raise your hand if you think that this is going to slow me down, or do you think this is going to inspire me? What do you think? I mean, maybe Ron will be the first guy in 15 years to show I'm a liar and too afraid to do what I do. What do you think? What I think is that par for the course, they planted that comment on my page. And then they used that comment to try to tell everybody and incite violence against me that I'm a racist when they posted it. Who's calling for public hangings?
Act like you never heard a grunt speak truth. Ron's on the mic, knocking out your front tooth. It's the 850, not red, not blue. We
What are you talking about? I'm down with freaking hanging people from the courthouse lawn.
oh, I mean,
What? Why? How many?
Isn't that something? The only person that I have seen or heard, and I don't know how long, talking about public hangings was none other than Ron Keel himself. That is that's the kind of deceit and violation of public trust that's like mind-blowing to me. All right, so I've got more. I have so much to tell you. I told you that I'm going to show you why I take this stuff very seriously. But also, let me show you a couple more of these posts. I haven't even gotten started. What you're about to see. So there are, here's one. Look at this one. All right. So here's where Ron Keel does that whole thing about Bernie talks terrible about Mayor Nelson's wife. And everybody knows I don't do that. Wouldn't do that. He posts, coward move alert. Bernie Thompson out there flapping his gums about Mayor Nelson's wife, like a true backseat beta. Talking about a man's wife on air. That's not journalism. That's cowardice in HD. Bernie, say one word about my wife, says Ron Keel, and you'll find out real quick this ain't talk radio. It's front porch rules. You want to play tough? Start with the men, not the women. Otherwise, stay in your studio where it's safe. Talk about my wife and find out. At the same time he's posting this, he's trying to friend request my wife. So if you look on the right of the screen there, that's a message I got from Miss Sarah Moon. She's and she cusses worse than I do. She said, this mofo's lost his effing mind. Ron Keel sent my wife a friend request, my sister a friend request, some of my friends a friend request. And she says, talk about bothering people's wives. So just like the public hanging trick they tried to play on you, Ron thinks I'm going to talk about people's wives. But to your surprise, I am going to talk about Ron's wife right after this.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777.
Strong, effective leadership. 3 words that could mean the difference between prison and your freedom. I'm Al Saleen, your Panama City Beach lawyer. 850-215-0628.
Let me tell you about Ron Keel's wife. She's a great lady. I met her back like in 2010. My daughters were very young, and I got roped in to doing a dancing with a local like Dancing with the Stars thing. And I was scared to death to do this in front of all these people at the Martin Theater, 2010. And so I had this incredible dance teacher partner for our routine. Her name was Stephanie, is Stephanie. Stephanie's amazing. But also there was a young, I think she was a young adult in the studio, and her name was Nia. And Nia taught my little daughter. She would spend time with my little girls. She was so sweet. And she is so sweet, Ron Keel's wife. And she's the one who reached out to me on Facebook and said, hey, my husband is looking to run for office. He's a Army veteran, and he just wants to do the right thing. And I said, well, have him contact me. I got the cheapest ads in Bay County. And we did all that. Remember? I went out and took these pictures of him and all that stuff. And oh, here's the cool cigar picture I took of him. Look, isn't that a great picture? We used all that. But also during my at the end of my dance routine, this is so funny because I was so afraid to do this dance routine. And so we get out there and we're about to go out on stage. And at the end, I'm supposed to finish and sort of like bow to the crowd or something. And I said, I got this idea, right? I go from being too afraid to like, now I'm giving, directions. And I said, Nia, I have an idea. Here's a cigar and here's a glass of whiskey. At the end of this routine, will you bring this stuff out to me on a platter? I have an idea. And she did. It went like this. She's great. But I'm not like trying to like, I think we are Facebook friends, but I'm not like sending her friend requests after I lie about you. I'm not peeking in your windows. Oh, by the way, Chris Cramer and Will Cramer Chevrolet's 850 podcast, they sponsor. It was interesting how it all began too, because it was right after Ron Keel started doing the podcast. And remember, he was, it was kind of like the Trump derangement syndrome. Everything I say or the Beacon says, he would say the opposite. And he would say it in the very same way that the local establishment says it. It was exactly, this seems like it's, and then all of a sudden the ads come and all that. But right after the election, I thought this is when I started to get suspicious, like this is a counter op, just all the way. The 850 podcast. So Ron makes a post on his page about. If I don't have this, I'm going to look it up right now because, yeah, maybe I'm not going to do that because I got so many other things to show you. He makes a post and he's leaning against a Porsche, and he says, "I want to thank Bernie Thompson for the Porsche." This was like right after the election. And I want to thank the Beacon of Bay County and the Peanut Gallery. My wife and I made some bets about Beach Drive, and now I'm an official owner of a Porsche. I bought a Porsche. And okay, cool, man. You can Porsche. But I started thinking, is that like part of the compensation? Like this intimidation operation has become, they call it Operation Bernie. And they talk about, this is what they said about the Beacon of Bay County. This is what Ron Keel, it's a real drop. Operation Sit the F Down, Karen. The former mayor of Mayhem, talking about Margo Anderson. By the way, today is the 5th anniversary to the day that Mayor Anderson was framed and indicted. And he calls her mayor of Mayhem in Lynn Haven. And her squawking squad of Karen hens, just couldn't help themselves, he says. Instead of staying in their lane like a bunch of well-behaved retirees on a Sunday golf cruise, they decided to pop smoke and pick a fight. Big mistake, says Ron. You brought purses to a social media war, ladies. I've got enough ammo and receipts to run this op until your grandkids graduate from nursing school. I can do this all day, you geriatric Karens. You want smoke? Here's a little napalm for your soft hearts. Got enough ammo. And there's a bunch of other ones. Operation Bernie. We all float. Stay pressed. Kill the narrative is one of my favorites. Kill the narrative. Gunslinger. So. So Bernie, why do you take all these things so seriously? Well, let me show you. So. Yeah, I guess I'll show these first and then move to the so much stuff. I don't even know how to do this in any kind of really organized way. But so I have an office and I have security cameras so I can see in real time what's outside my door and my window. And these are the kinds of things I've seen in the past. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I've been concerned enough. You know, Mayor Anderson, incidentally, went to prison for a month, not because of any of the 64 counts of public corruption, but because after 4 Christmases, you've got to get this. Everybody's getting it now, by the way. Everybody's buying the book on Amazon. Hurricane Michael Storm of Corruption, 600 and some pages. Today's the anniversary, 5-year anniversary of her arrest. You can get it on Amazon. Hurricane Michael, Storm of Corruption. And inside of here are the sheriff's investigation notes that tell you who really did stuff. The FBI's 302 memos who tell you who really did stuff. Unbelievable stuff. The transcript to the grand jury, which even Donald Trump couldn't get. But the prosecutors had made such crazy claims that were demonstrably false against Finch and Anderson that the judge released them. Less than 1% of the time does that ever happen. So, where am I on this? Where am I in the story here? Let me remember where I was going with this. All right. Oh, by the way, you heard earlier when I played the clip and Ron, well, let me play it for you again so that it'll make sense. this is when Ron Keel claims I left the Lynn Haven meeting recently and was so scared of him that I didn't even look at him. I just, ran out in fear.
And this is also coming from the guy at the Lynn Haven meeting that shows up taking pictures of Tony while he's talking and taking pictures of the whole meeting. Made eye contact with me while he was walking out of the room and you put his head down with his stupid. I almost said with his fedora or whatever, right? Makes eye contact and looks down. So you're not a tough guy. And if you had something to say, you had opportunity to do it. That would have been a perfect place to do it, don't you think?
Well,
You've
Tony was
seen me
talking
out in
about
public. You've seen me out in public, motherfucker.
Tony was
You
talking
want
about
to talk about
people-
me acting like a tough guy? Well, why don't you stand behind your freaking words, weirdo? Be a tough guy. I dare you.
So, actually, what I did with the pictures that I took of Tony, they were very good. I texted these pictures to Tony. I texted him a whole bunch of really professional, incredible pictures of Tony Bostic. And he was very appreciative of it. He thought it was super cool. Of course he thought it was cool. These are great pictures. There's a bunch of other ones too. I might have them here to show you, but anyway, so I wanted you to know that. So why do I take these things as seriously as I do? That's where we were. Because things like this happen outside my studio. Let's take a look at this one first. Well, let me show you this first. So things got so hot and heavy in July of 2021, 3 days before Derwin White died, that I sent the FBI an email. And this is the sort of what it was about. I had heard that there was a conspiracy to murder me, and I had heard several details of how it was going to happen. And on July 28th of 2021, I'm not going to show you the text of it, but it was detailed. When all of the charges against Margot Anderson were dropped, the prosecutors were so mad that they told her that if you don't accept a plea, not a plea deal, but a plea, if you don't say that you met Mickey White in October, she met him in December, you got to say you made a misstatement to us so we can at least make you a felon. And if you don't do it, when you're found not guilty, we'll meet you on the courthouse steps and we will indict you again. This is after she spent 4 Christmases under indictment fighting this. So she took the deal and she went to prison for a month for lying to the FBI. I'm sorry, that's not why she went. It's very specific, for making a misstatement to the FBI. So with that in mind, do you think I'm going to be sending the FBI anything that I don't believe to be true? Now I'm going to show you in a minute what happened 5 months later, what I believe was an attempt on my life. This video, and they missed me by an inch. So I take these things seriously. And here is what I was going to show you. This is the kind of stuff that happens outside my door right when I hear that there are plots to assassinate me. Very specific plots with shooting lanes and stuff. All right. So check this out. This is kind of stuff that goes on outside my door. Watch this guy. That's one of many, and I'm going to show you another one now. So I was about to do a show, and it was 8:00, and I was about to do a show. And I look outside my window, and I'm sorry, I don't look outside my window. I look on the security, the live security feed that I have, and this is what I saw. It's clearly a man who is disguised. I gave this to my good friends, number 2 and number 3 at the sheriff's office, and others. And the greatest investigators in Bay County could not figure out who it was, even though I had a tip about who it was. Now, what he's doing with his phone, I don't know what people do with their phones, but I get a lot of people who come. In fact, if you know what they're doing with their phones, are they connecting to my computer? Are they using some sort of heat signature device? Are they measuring shooting lanes? What are they doing? I don't know what all these people do when they come outside my door and start using their phones. Do you want to know who the latest person to do that was? After I told him on the phone about 3 months ago, I don't want to help you with your podcast. Forgive me. I don't think you're acting in good faith, but just do what you're doing, man. Keep doing. I want everybody to keep doing what they're doing. Classify yourself in real time. Let all of these documented videos down the road, let them tell the truth. So keep doing it. Do whatever you think is good for you. I wish there were more protectors. I wish there were more people who would say, not for any price is my soul for sale. But, so who's the latest person to come to my door? This is so crazy, man. I did not want to do this show. All right. Let's see. Oh, I got it over here. So the latest person to come to my door, and understand that the sheriff's office is 3 doors down from my office on the beach. The sheriff's substation is 3 doors down from my office. And it looks like Ron Keel comes from their office area and comes walking up to my door with purpose. And this is what it looked like from my vantage point. I think that's Ron Keel. And then he walked away in the other direction, which is always when people come to visit me, they'll walk to my door, visit me, and then they'll walk back the same way they came. In this case, I have a lot of people who come from the sheriff's office, get on their phones and start doing that thing. And then they'll walk over to where I chased down Deputy Navarro that time. And that's where Ron went. Here. Looks like he was kind of okay. There we go. So yeah, these things are. I take them seriously. This Cramer Chevrolet podcast show that is talking about Bernie the corpse. There's a freshly filled grave for Bernie. Now for the thing that I cannot believe I'm going to show you this. Okay, so part of the reason that I sent this to the FBI, possible conspiracy to murder me, was I was, and after this, well, it was actually a little before this, I had heard about the same time. God, I think it might be the reason I did it. Somebody who's plugged in told me that they're going to try to run you off the road and kill you. I said, who's they? And I'm not going to share that with you. But he told me that it's going to be a 19-year-old, Bernie, when you're driving somewhere, and he told me where. Be careful, because they like to try to kill people with vehicles. So what are you talking about, man? So after hearing that I was going to get shot and being told where the shooting lanes were here, and after being told that a 19-year-old was going to try to run me off the road and many other things, I sent that. I'll fill you in more on those details later. But do you know what happened less than 6 months later? About 4.5 months later? A 19-year-old missed my car by about an inch at 80 miles an hour. Missed me and went flying off the road into the trees and landed upside down. And we had to save him. We had to call 911, break the window. And as I'm talking to 911, they say, how many in the vehicle? 1, male. How old? 19. Now, it could be a coincidence. But here's what it looked like. Do you want to know where? Had that car hit, my car was stationary. Had that car hit me, T-boned me, which I believe was the plan, it would have been right here at Philip Griffiths Parkway in Panama City Beach. I was about to make the right turn coming toward us. And, well, what happened is I was sitting right here. I pulled up, it was nighttime, and there was nobody around. I'm going to show you what it looked like. And normally I'll roll that. Nobody around, Philip Griffith, Back Beach Road on the corner of Nautilus and Philip Griffiths Parkway. I pull up just like that, but I don't go. For some reason, I just sat there. In the dark, I thought I heard an airplane overhead because it's not, I thought I heard like a, and an airplane. I'm just sitting there. And all of a sudden, I just passed a guy that was a car that was like off in the cuts a little bit with his lights on. I thought, is that a cop? Nope. This car comes racing behind me, thinks I'm going to make a right turn, but I don't make a right turn. And so it goes between the stop sign and my car. This is the day after. You can see ahead of me. You see those skid marks? Those can't be his skid marks, actually, because that's where I'm sitting. And he would have, those can't be his. Because he went between my car and that stop sign and didn't hit either one of them. It didn't hit the stop sign and it didn't hit me at about 80 miles an hour. Instead, it flew off into those trees. And the next day when I went there, that's his underwear. That's where the car was upside down. And they had to use the jaws of life to get this 19-year-old out. I identified the 19-year-old because the first responders left all the debris there. That's his underwear on the tree. There were all kinds of things. There was a credit card that did not have his name on it. Somebody else's name was on the credit card. It had his school binder. That's how I knew his name. And so about 4 days later, there was a big meeting in Panama City Beach. This was in December of 2021. There was a big meeting in Panama. And at the time, I was only really covering Panama City Beach all the time. Remember? I'm going to show you this stuff too. So there was a big controversial thing that was going to be addressed at that meeting. And it was so controversial that even the St. Joe company didn't want anything to do with it. It was a development that was going to be in Panama City Beach on the water side by the pier. They want to develop, I don't know if they have or if they were, but they were going to develop a gigantic, like a restaurant on the water side. And who was going to do that? Well, it was the brand new developer, like my arch enemy, the brand new developer, William Harrison. All of a sudden, he's a developer. I've never seen him at a Panama City Beach meeting ever. I walked in to the foyer, into the big lobby, going to the meeting, and I look over, there's William Harrison. 4 days after what I showed you. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. I go sit down. Everybody treats me weird as all get out. Incidentally, William Harrison and Chris Cramer, they often do things together. They are two of Sheriff Ford's biggest financiers and supporters, Chris Cramer and William Harrison. And so I was at that meeting, and everybody was. I wondered while I was at that meeting, do my arch enemies up there know that I almost got hit, almost got T-boned by a car going 80 miles an hour? Do they know? Here's how it went when I addressed it. I was real slick about it. I was real slick. Now, I omit the name here because I don't want to give the name. But I said it at the meeting. And here's how it went. But I came here to ask you about if you can fix a very dangerous curve where there are quite a few very serious accidents. And it's on the very east end of Griffith Senior Parkway, where it curves into Baldwin. A young man Saturday night had a single car accident that evening. And he's very lucky that I was there, or maybe nobody would have seen him. He was way into the trees. A very dangerous situation. And as I looked down there, I saw many other trees that were taken out by vehicles. It's a very dangerous curve, unfortunately. Are you guys aware of that accident? Yeah. Are you aware of?
Yeah, I coached him baseball, and he was in scouts with my son for many years.
Okay. Is he doing okay?
He's doing much better now.
Thank God. I was shocked that they actually knew who it was. Here's what it looked like. I'll just kind of roll it. But I didn't roll it that night. I just stopped and sat there. And in between that stop sign of my car, 19-year-old, 80 miles an hour, it felt like I was in a small like a phone booth. And the Grim Reaper just jumped right by me. And I turn around and it swings the sickle, and I just ducked and it disappeared. That's how close that was. Now, I had my phone recording their reactions when I asked about that, and I couldn't believe they knew about it. Here's what they looked like. Here's my point of view when I asked that question. He's very lucky that I was there, or maybe nobody would have seen him. He was way into the trees. A very dangerous situation. And as I looked down there, I saw many other trees that were taken out by vehicles. It's a very dangerous curve, unfortunately. Are you guys aware of that accident? Yeah. Are you aware of?
Yeah, I coached him baseball. He was in scouts with my son for many years.
Okay. Is he doing okay?
He's doing much better.
Thank God. All right. So then a little bit later, Jeff McConnell, who knew the 19-year-old, he wanted to explain to everybody that he was really surprised about the source, me, because he knew all about the crash. And he wanted to make sure that they make that place safer. But he was shocked that I'm the one who called it in, that I'm the one who was, he couldn't believe it.
Well, I was a little surprised to the source that brought up this crash, but it was something I wanted to discuss today. We all know that area down there is not very well lit, and we are in the process of turning that road over or negotiating to turn that road over to the state. However, I would like to see more lighting down there or flashing lights, even if it's temporary. If I could get staff to look at putting some temporary lighting or flashing lighting down there to make it really clear that that end is coming up. I know at nighttime it's very dark down there, and the only light down there that's flashing is one small sign with two lights that flash up top and bottom. It was quite tragic. We also had a semi-trailer go off a few days before we went into the trees over there. So there was already another, path that followed down in there, and he was in very bad shape. And thankfully he's making a recovery. The other thing I wanted to talk about was a few weeks ago I was asked to go to Petronas Elementary and speak to the third grade STEM class, and it was absolutely amazing.
So yeah, I take these kind of things very seriously.
This is what I can say. Bernie, if you do ever, end up finding your nutsack somewhere and you decide that you're going to call me, you decide that you want to meet me somewhere, you need to bring a witness. You do. Because there needs to be people that need to be around.
Hey, I'll be a witness.
Yeah, I take these things pretty seriously.
No, Bernie, you don't. Like in this clip, in this phone call, he's like, "Oh, I get it. People attack me all the time." No, they don't. No, they don't, Bernie. Not like me.
Well, you and I had a conversation.
I'm really good at it. So you're not a tough guy. And if you had something to say, you had opportunity to do it. That would have been a perfect place to do it, don't you think?
Well,
You've
Tony was
seen me
talking
out in
about
public. You've seen me out in public, motherfucker.
Tony was
You
talking
want
about
to talk about me
people-
acting like a tough guy? Well, why don't you stand behind your freaking words, weirdo? Be a tough guy. I dare you.
So there are more reasons that this whole Sheriff Ford, Cramer Chevrolet intimidation operation, and the reason I include Sheriff Ford is because they're involved in a big lawsuit. And Chris Cramer and Sheriff Ford were recently deposed. And so I kind of know some of the things that they do. And this is counter Bernie up. And what they're trying to do is it's a multi-pronged attack, I believe. You're just not going to believe what else I have to tell you. They are trying to provoke people into responding so that Sheriff Ford can arrest you and his campaign manager, who owns the mugshot rag, the county press, Arthur Cullen. The sheriff likes to arrest people, and then his campaign manager will put their pictures, their mugshots up. It's part of not only is it the intimidation operation, but they've got the humiliation operation. And I'm concerned about it because of the things that I experience and the things that I know that they don't know I know. But also because of the way Ron Keel is acting. So I kind of looked him up a little bit more. And I have to share this with you because, again, yes, I always am on high alert, and I do fear for my life, and I am surveilled. And when this show, the 850 podcast, says they have a freshly dug grave for me, and they say that I'm flatlined and I'm a corpse, and it's Operation Bernie. Yeah, they've earned a place in the lawsuit. The big federal lawsuit I have that I just filed against Sheriff Tommy Ford and 9 others for using the color of law to try to intimidate my First Amendment activities and chill the freedom of speech and the freedom of the press. And this is, I believe, a proxy. And so I'm all about wrapping them up in it. You can add defendants, civilians, if they are conspiring under the color of law to violate your rights. At the very least, depositions. Because we're going to get to the bottom of it. And I'm just getting started, Jack. You heard? Let me show you what I have to show you. So Ron Keel was arrested in 2017. And when I first saw Ron, I had heard about him. This is, he was running for office, and I thought he was a big, combat vet. And I first saw him. Well, he first saw me, I guess, before I first saw him. He had sent me a text. Let me see if I can. Yeah, here. And it said, I saw you from a distance today at the park. Our paths crossed. And I said, I'm still working. I'm at the office, hoping to talk with you again later in the week. We were going to work out. He wanted to buy ads on the show. So when I saw him, I didn't know it was him. I thought he was a big combat guy. But I saw like a 5'3" bundle of estrogen. And I couldn't believe that was Ron Keel. But, big deal. My colonel one of my best colonels, my best commanders in the Air Force was 5'3". He was an F-16 fighter. And never underestimate. Again, Ron keeps saying he wants to, come here, tough guy. You need a witness, all this kind of stuff. Don't ever underestimate anybody. I'm older than his father. Okay. I ain't about fighting anybody. At my age, it's not who wins, it's who loses the least. But he explains it. He said he was falsely arrested in 2017. Let's take a look. All right. So the arrest affidavit, he was arrested because he was married before to somebody else, not his sweet wife now. And she was older, and that's important for what you're going to see. And the case was dismissed. All right. And here is the motion to dismiss. This is all public records. I blacked out the name of his ex-wife because I just don't want her name in there. But it's there. So on August 25, 2017, his ex-wife reported that he threatened to kill her and her whole family, including her grandchildren, and cut her from her vagina to her neck. That's what he was arrested and charged with. It was on the phone. Now he says he didn't say that. She says he said it. And the state attorney at the time, the prosecutor, was Glenn Hess. And Glenn Hess dismissed it, right? And so when Ron bought ads from me, he said, Bernie, you're going to hear about some stuff. And I was so busy. I was like, well, tell me about it. So what was a domestic violence situation? And, I've got my security clearance. And so clearly it was just BS. It was false accusations. So I said, okay, cool. Veteran guy. I knew his wife. She's wonderful. But I didn't know that until I just looked it up. So Glenn Hess was the state attorney in 2017. He dropped the case. I just have to keep telling you these things. So Glenn Hess was the state attorney. So Ron, again, I'm older than his father. But let's see here. His father in 2003 had a business called Radical Ron. And Radical Ron, his father, his business partner was Glenn Hess's brother, Brian Hess, the attorney. I mean, do I just keep going? I guess I do. Sorry to that. I mean, I guess I do. I don't know if he said it on the witness stand or if he said it in the paperwork, but I know he told WMBB in a recorded interview that WMBB never ever aired. Greg Wilson, the assistant state attorney under Glenn Hess, he said under oath that when Glenn Hess won the election, I think it would have been in 2014, that the people who were going against him brought him a tribute. They wanted to give 10 grand. This is all documented. It's in the FBI notes. I believe Greg said this to the judge if I remember correctly, but I couldn't believe it. So a bag of 10 grand as a tribute from those who were supporting the other candidate. And Greg Wilson said that state attorney has said, bring it to my brother, Brian. He's an attorney. He'll know what to do with the money. That's just what a witness said under oath. Okay. So to my surprise, Radical Ron's father, was business partners with Brian Hess, Glenn Hess's brother. And Glenn Hess dismissed the charge that I told you about. And so it's a pretty cozy. I mean, it's good to be that close to the state attorney's office. So you can see why I don't dismiss Ron, and I don't dismiss what's happening. Oh, I was going to show you. I'll show you another time. So on one of the shows, after I showed you Ron stalking around here, and after I told him, I don't want to talk to you. So on one of the shows, he starts, and he's not allowed to talk about it because he keeps talking about, and I can't wait to ask him under oath who this is, but he keeps talking about, he has a lawyer that he's always consulting with, some lawyer. My guess is it's Cramer's lawyer that's sponsoring the show. It's my guess. And he says, the lawyers say I'm not allowed to say this. The lawyers say I'm not allowed to say that. Well, I'm telling you that when I tell you drones follow me, I was driving on highway. By the way, I'll just tell you this too. I can't go to the sheriff about this. I can't go to, I'm just going to tell you, I can't go to the police department about this. It's their operation, I think. So this email I sent to the FBI back in 2021, conspiracy to murder me. I'll tell you, that's not the only one with evidence that I've sent. So these things are serious enough that I'm doing what I can to protect myself. So I was on Highway 79 and going about 60 in a 30. Just kidding. And what the hell is that? Like windshield level. The hell is that? About 3 car lengths ahead of me. I'm going like 60. It was a drone, a white drone, eye level. If it hadn't just jumped up and took off on Highway 79, I would have hit it and it would have hit my windshield. 20 miles later, it's flying over the horse field where I am. So this stuff happens. It's documented. People know, right? But this is what this is how the 850 podcast, the Cramer Chevrolet folks, this is how they addressed it. And notice that Ron says he's not allowed to talk about it. Watch, listen.
So that goes back to the it would behoove of people to think about this, right? So when you make a comment, never mind, I can't say that. We know who you are. Drones fly everywhere all the time. Anyway, go ahead.
Amazon.
You see why people need to be deposed. Why isn't he allowed to say something? Who's the lawyer?
So that goes back to the it would behoove of people to think about this, right? So when you make a comment, never mind, I can't say that. We know who you are. Drones fly everywhere all the time. Anyway, go ahead.
Amazon.
All right. Okay. I take these things pretty seriously. So I think I'm going to end with this. I have a lot more, but I do think I'm going to end with this. I think I've made my point. I think I've made the point. And the biggest point is, and again, I want to remind you of this. I think Ron Keel, based on my conversations with him in the past, they've never been like that. I think he's the stooge here. I think that if something, and I want you to remember this, please remember this. If anything happens to me and Ron Keel is arrested and he says, I didn't do it, bro. I didn't do it, bro. You might want to believe that. He could be the Jack Ruby here. They're setting him up to say all this crazy ass stuff. Something happens to me. And the obvious scapegoat. So, I'd say, pray for him too, So what's important for you to know, though, and this was happening in Lynn Haven too, is people were trying to get, or they're trying to get me to assault and batter people at these meetings. So I go to the very first town hall. You're not going to believe this. In Panama City. All right. The Panama City City Hall. And there's this, I was going to make a picture of it, but I didn't. There's this guy by the name of Fane Wynn. Right. And I've known about him for a long time because he used to have a fake account called Brenda Reagan. And this fake account back in 2017 or so used to say the nastiest. I mean, you can imagine. But it also would try to private message Miss Sarah Moon, my wife, and say just like the most, like what a man pretending to be a woman might say. Get your head out of Bernie's lap. And, that's Fane Wynn, right? So I went to this meeting and I made public comments. And the chief of police was there, who we're suing in the lawsuit. He's the police department, Panama City Police too, not just the sheriff's. It's a joint operation on our home. So he's there, and this other officer's there, and they acted kind of funny when I came through, but they often do, so no big deal. So I make my public comments. I'm going to show you this. They're trying to provoke you, and if they can get you to say something or touch them, they're going to swoop down and arrest you. They're trying to provoke you. Don't fall for it. Don't get mad. So let me show you this. Let's see. If I don't have this, I'm going to have to pull them up. I'm going to have to pull them up, it looks like. So I'm going to thank a sponsor and see if I can pull these up while that's happening. Give me just a moment.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
All right, I'm still looking, but it won't take me long. All right, looks like they're right there. So let me pull these up, because this is going to be an important way to end the show so that you keep yourself out of trouble while they're, yeah, okay, it is. I found it. All right, so while I was making my public comments here, you see that? So that was the first town hall at the Panama City. Remember, the new mayor in Panama City, Alan Branch, has eliminated, or they voted to eliminate, the public comments on non-agenda items, but they're going to do it every first Saturday at City Hall. And this is what it looks like. You see me, I'm wrapping up. I've got about 30 seconds or 40 seconds to go. And if you look over my left shoulder, you see a guy sitting there with a beard. See that guy? That's Fane Nguyen. He's, got a business downtown, and he's at all the meetings, and he's nasty online. But at least he uses his real name now, not Brenda Reagan. And so about 30 minutes before, 30 seconds, when the 30-second beep, beep goes off, he gets up. And the guy next to him, they've got the cameras going and stuff, and Fane Nguyen walks over by the door out there behind him and sort of nods, and almost like he's communicating with the police. And I don't know. And then he goes over and stands. Do you see him there on the top left? Now I've got about 10 seconds left. And now, after he sort of nodded at the cops, he's standing there by my hat. Do you see my hat by his elbow? And then he gets in the walk where I would go around to walk toward my hat. He's standing there pretending to be on the phone. I think he's recording. Like, sometimes I do that, actually, in public when I think I'm being surveilled. Hit record on your phone, put it by your ear. And I think that's what he was doing, but I don't know. So I walk by him, and he's standing in my way to walk to my hat. And so I make eye contact with him. He makes eye contact with me. And under my breath, I say, "You're an effing creep. You're a creep, dude." And he just kind of like micro lunges at me, like puts his nose out, like kind of like a micro lunge. And so I go to my hat, and he comes up to me and does this. Do you see that? Oh boy, I didn't crop it right. But do you see his belly touching me? And I can smell his breath. Now, he's got his phone in his hand, which I think is on record. The cops are watching. And he's almost touching me with his belly. And his breath is horrific. And he's saying, "What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?" But he's breathing really funny. "What are you going to do? You're not going to do shit, bitch. You're not going to do anything, you bitch." So what he wanted me to do was say, "If you don't back up, I'm going to punch you in the face." Or when he touches me with his belly, he wanted me to push him. Look, the cops are watching this. And part of it was captured on the live stream, barely in the background. He got so loud that people were turning around, but nobody on the board, I asked every one of them, nobody heard anything. They didn't see it. So I sent a public record request for the security footage of that building. They say it doesn't exist. I said, okay, then give me the body camera footage. No word yet. Same thing in Lynn Haven. When they accused the Beacon and Bay County ladies, Jody especially, when they accused her of running up and threatening people, I made a public record request for the video security footage. Doesn't exist. What I'm telling you is to be careful, because even if you have the right to defend yourself, their video cameras don't exist. And I'm telling you, I think they're trying to provoke us. Be very, very careful. Now, it's so bad in terms of getting my public record requests. Let's see if I have this anyway. Damn, hold on. I gotta pull up one more thing for you. It'll be worth it. All right. Let's see. Boy. I guess I could just, this is going to be a terrible way to show this to you, but at least I can. Yeah. All right. We'll do it this way. So I've made several public record requests, and the city manager, Jonathan Hayes, and the city clerk in Panama City, Jan Smith, we just don't have any footage of it, Bernie. You don't have any footage of this guy running up underneath me, trying to get me to, in that situation, even though his belly touched me, all right, I think he's working with the popo. And I can't get any footage of it to show him going over there and making contact with them, going by my hat, standing in my way, running up to me, all of it. And I think he's recording on his phone, because in Florida, it's battery if you touch the other person in a situation like that. Like if I'd shoved him away, I had the right to do it, but it wasn't going to go that way. If I had said to him, I'm going to slam you on the ground, dude, I'm going to knock you out. If I'd said any of those things to him and he's recording it in a public place, they would have used that as evidence and said I assaulted him. That would be assault. They think I'm an amateur. They think because I'm an alpha that I'm going to react. And it's getting extremely dangerous, because I don't let men in my space like that. I had to. And it's very dangerous. And don't you get sucked into it. So now the video stuff that they claim does not exist, we'll be subpoenaing that, because all of this is a continuation of trying to intimidate the First Amendment. We don't allow this in our community. Well, it's a hot time in Florida, and I needed you to see all of this for the reasons that I brought forth. This is not a show about Ron Keel being a dick. It's not. I don't know why he's doing that. Never seen him talk to me like that in real life. And I don't talk to him. I've never talked to him in any way other than helpful and kind and encouraging. I'm still not going to, it takes everything in me to not just lampoon him, but there are reasons I just don't do that. Anyway, All right, I think I've belabored the point, and I know there's more things that I wanted to show you, but the most important thing for you to know is do not get sucked in to what they're doing. I'm looking to see if there's anything else, because I don't want to do a show like this again. All right, I think I'm going to wrap that up. For days, I've been dreading doing this show, but I hope it's been helpful, because that's what's most important. All right. I guess I need to thank everybody. Those of you who have a free subscription and get your weekend email newsletter, you get all the shows. You don't even need Facebook. You just get a weekend newsletter with the links to the show. Bernie.substack.com. If you want to support my efforts, get a paid subscription. It's like $8 a month or $80 a year. Be super helpful. But you can get a free one as well. Bernie.substack.com. Also, if you've ever wanted to reach me and you just can't, because I'm either not, I'm neglecting getting back to you or whatever, I'm busy, I'm stressed, here's how you can get my undivided attention. Calendly.com/Bernie Thompson. Book a call. You'll get my entire attention. Also helps me try to make a living. Thank you to those of you who throw a tip in the tip jar at patreon.com/Bernie Thompson, or even, well, some of you have been so helpful with PayPal. Thank you for all of those of you who do that. Did I get everybody? No, I didn't get everybody. The Unknown Patriot. Thank you to the Unknown Patriot, and for the rest of you who are brave enough to buy sponsorships. It matters. It helps, because we're doing it organically. We're doing it authentically. And it comes at a big price. All right, that's enough of that. Thanks for watching. I'm exhausted, and I'll be back soon.